Yorokobe Shonen, it's me, your not-so-favorite bad power scaler on the internet. Forgive me if I don't sound mega hyped today, I've just been feeling a bit under the weather for the past few days, but I just did not want to mess up my schedule, so I'm making this video regardless. But yeah, I have been making questionable power scaling videos for over a year now with, mixed results and mixed feelings, which is expected when doing like power scaling videos, which are, typically opinion-based. But there is one comment that pretty much always manages to return on literally every video I make somehow, and it goes something like this. This is not valid because Dragon Ball can just overpower the ability. Now, it's no big secret that I do not agree with this argument at all for the most part, or, well, a part of the argument, right? And today I am just going to explain my personal stance on the matter in this like a bit of a story time-esque video, I suppose, right? I don't know how to explain it, it's not really a documentary or something, it's just me voicing my opinion. But this video will probably upset some NPC Goku fans who just put their brain on autopilot most of the time, but please try to bear with me and be open to another person's opinion for about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. But let me start by saying that the Dragon Ball community has a pretty bad reputation in terms of Goku having a toxic fanbase, but this is mostly the result of a select few people who are actually in the spotlight, right? For example, popular YouTubers who heavily push the narrative and are not open to any type of other opinion regarding the matter. Most of the people who are just caught in the middle of this are perfectly capable of a normal, constructive criticism session or a discussion or whatever, right? So please do not take this video personally. This is by no means a personal attack towards people who do not have the same opinion as mine. This is just me, voicing my own opinion and, being open to the opinion of you guys and being able to discuss the matter back and forth. So you are not at all at fault for the bad reputation we power scalers, especially Dragon Ball power scalers, tend to get. But to get back on topic, this character could never win because Dragon Ball can just overpower their ability. As I stated before, I half agree on this statement. I agree that within the universe of Dragon Ball, we have seen characters simply overpower abilities through sheer speed, sheer force, like sheer mental power, you name it. A very good example of this is the fight between Goku and Hit. Hit's time skip completely has the cause shivering timbers until Goku manages to beat it with a combination of sheer speed and power. There is no real denying this fact, it was literally right there in the show, so it should be pretty easy for me to just agree with that blanket statement, right? And I somewhat actually do agree. Within the universe of Dragon Ball, some abilities can be overcome through sheer power and speed. But this is not necessarily because Dragon Ball characters can just overpower any ability in general, in my opinion. Going back to the example of Hit vs Goku, people often say that Goku overpowered Hit's time skip ability by moving faster than skip time. But I have always looked at this as Hit's technique just being flawed to the point where his opponent's speed affects the usefulness of his ability. From my viewpoint, Goku did not just negate Hit's ability was simply not fine-tuned and strong enough to work on an opponent with Goku's level of speed. We can literally see him evolving his technique after this battle as well, so that kind of proves my point in like my personal experience, if that makes sense. I mean, he improves it to the point where Goku can't just bullshit his way through it anymore and actually dies to it. And he even ends up stalling Jiren with it, who was way faster than Goku was when Hit and Goku first fought. But to look at this from a totally different angle, take this for example. Just because Hit and Guldo have similar abilities involving time, it does not mean Goku powering through Hit's time skip would also allow him to do the same during Guldo's stop time. Yes, both techniques are time related, but they are completely different and there is zero proof that Goku could break through Guldo's time stop just because he beat Hit's time skip. And that brings me to another point I just can't see eye to on with these, I suppose, hardcore Goku glazers. I don't like using the term, but I don't know what else to call them at this point. But just because an ability in Dragon Ball has been beaten and another anime has a character with a similar-ish ability, this does not mean they can also beat that character from the other anime. Zebras might look like horses, but they are more closely related to donkeys. This same logic applies to similar abilities between different anime franchises. Using Hit's time skip as an example again here, Regulus from ReZero has an ability where his own time has stopped. Nothing affects him because his time literally stands still. Hit's time skip is a technique which anyone can realistically learn given enough time and training. It is an in-universe technique based on martial arts and ki. It is something familiar to Dragon Ball characters no matter how rare the technique may be. They know the concepts behind it because it uses their source of power in universe being ki, right? Regulus's authority is an ability that does not exist within the confines of Dragon Ball whatsoever. It does not use ki. Hell, characters outside of Dragon Ball don't even have ki most of the time anyway, so it doesn't make sense to me to look at it through the same lens as you would look at a ki-based technique. And it is also not a dimension that can be shattered by certain Buu Saga characters like Super Buu and Gotenks from the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, right? It is a passive ability that can only be negated by killing all of Regulus's brides in which he has planted fragments of his heart. Even though the abilities of these two people seem quite similar on the surface, they share literally nothing in common with one another except that they both involve the loose concept of time. But every single time an example like this comes up, people just flat out refuse to believe even the possibility of Goku not being able to one-shot his way through any and all abilities. And I frankly just don't get that viewpoint. Yes, Goku is very strong, the guy can destroy planets and galaxies if he wanted to. But just because Goku can nuke a planet does not mean you need to be able to nuke a planet to beat Goku. And the same applies to speed. You don't necessarily need to be faster than Goku to beat him, although I will say speed is a bigger defining trait in this type of equation than power is, in my opinion as well. This is due to the simple fact that Goku being faster means he could potentially dodge easier, right? Simple as that. Whilst Goku being stronger does not really matter as much in my opinion, because in the majority of cases we won't be relying on sheer or raw power to beat Goku anyway, so I hope that made sense. I just wanted to get that in here as well just before I forget, but I hope it made any type of sense. But moving back on track, people often immediately say that attacks won't affect Goku because they aren't some abstract scale of power like multi-universal or some bullshit like that. But they also conveniently ignore the fact that when Goku drops his guard, and he does this more than you think, a rock hurts his head and a Frieza grunt with a power level of assumingly like under 1000 nearly kills him. He even lost to a disease, so any type of ability which involves diseases or pathogens is actually confirmed to just work on Goku. And look, I get that you love the character. I myself love Yamcha as a character in Dragon Ball, but I don't get butthurt when he loses a fight, because even though he can destroy planets, he is far, far from unbeatable. Dragon Ball fans just have the nasty habit to assume every ability ever is ki-based, and that they just won't work on Goku and the gang because they are ki-based and Goku can just negate or overpower that. But most anime out there have no concept of ki whatsoever, and even if they have a similar concept like magic for example, it is completely different from the ki in Dragon Ball, and it's even completely different from the magic in Dragon Ball. It is not fair to assume that magic in Dragon Ball is the exact same thing as, for example, magic in Fairy Tail. Just throwing two names out there, right? It's just not the same. The metrics in universe with which these abilities are conceived are completely different. Just because Goku can cancel out a ki attack doesn't mean he can cancel out a magic attack. It's that simple to me. Like, a surprising amount of people are just not open to that concept. Because assuming another anime has the same metrics of power as Dragon Ball is something I have just never stood behind. It causes this blanket response of, oh, Goku could just overpower that ability easy. And if I am being completely honest and a bit harsh here, I suppose, it kind of just makes you sound like a person with no creativity whatsoever. But again, please don't take this video as a personal attack on you. This is really just me throwing my opinion out there for people to potentially listen to and react to. I am not some omnipotent encyclopedia who knows everything and anything about every anime and Dragon Ball. Just no, I don't know everything. In the end, this is just my opinion, which was formed based on my own takes and the way I have seen things and I have experienced things. You can have a totally different opinion. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having a different opinion from someone else. But being completely incapable of even considering the possibility possibility of another person's opinion being right or even taking the time to listen to it is kind of clown behavior if you ask me, but that's just my dumbass talking, right? So be sure to let me know your thoughts on the matter. Maybe you think I have a point, maybe you think I am full of shit, just let me know in the comments down below. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. As per usual, I truly do appreciate every single viewer that takes their time out of their day to just watch my content. It just makes me pretty happy, makes me a happy boy. And if you would like to see more of my content in the future, please consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on all notifications for my channel so you never miss another bad upload of mine again. But with that being said, work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty, and I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.